It's Mark here from Logie Timber. Today we're going to talk through the journey of hardwood timber into the yard. So when we collect logs from tree surgery companies, foresters, local houses, local gardens, how we work that process from when logs arrive into us, keeping the traceability so we know exactly where that log has come from, all the way through the process, right the way through to the kiln drying step. We're going to work through the whole thing to give you a better, clear understanding of each step, each process. The first part, Ollie's just over here, just measuring up the logs behind us. So the first part is if a log has arrived into the yard, we want to know where it's come from. It's a really key part of our process to have the provenance and the exact location of where that log's come from. So we can track it all the way through to give it to the customer as a board, knowing exactly where that timber has come from. It's a really key part of our business message to know exactly where that log has come from. So these have luckily come off of Logie Estate. So as the sawmill is a separate entity from the estate, we bought these from Logie Estate. They came here. We actually have an exact location of where they were cut as well. The boards, the logs are then measured. So we measure the length, width, and give it a kind of an overall look of how it looks. You know, it's got a couple of big knots on the side. See whether it's got any ring shake or star shake or anything in that. Then we add this log into our program. So we use a program called Airtable for everything we do here, and it's a program that we've built ourselves. It's completely bespoke. So this part of it, we add in the log into the system and create a product in the log in the system that includes the species, the length, the width, and exactly where it came from. We also include how much we paid for it and who the customer was that we bought it from. So in this case, Logie Estate, but it could be anybody. It could be our own tree surgery crew that have done it off a customer or another estate locally. So Ollie's just getting the measurements done for this one just now. And then we'll cut to another screen so we can talk you through the Airtable process a little bit clearer, because it shows up crap on the camera if we try and video it on the iPad. So we'll cut to another screen and we'll show you that in a second. Okay, so we are going to talk through how we add a log to our Airtable program. This is nice and easy to do. Log comes into the yard on the date, which is auto-filled. Select the species, beech, diameter, measure the log. So this one, say, was 500 by 3 meters. Location was Logie Estate. Came from price. For example, let's just call this one 100 quid. You know, why not? I can't remember off the top of my head, but we'll just make this one up. And then customer, Logie Estate. Bought from there, create, and it'll add it to our system. So that one will now be here right at the bottom. So that's the one we've just added in, and that will stay in our records forevermore until we start processing it into boards. So after the log's been added to the system, the stock that we're cutting today is just purely for our own stock. We're not cutting this for customer orders directly. So the logs get picked up from up the track. We have a big storage area up the track, so we collect the logs and then we chuck them onto the log deck just behind us here. The logs get loaded straight onto the loading chains. Chains move the log along, and then there's I don't know if you can see it in the video, there's like these green arms that are sticking out at the end there, they look like hands. So that's just a big carriage, and it grabs hold of the log, shoots out, and then tips the log over onto the mill. And you can see another big beech log set up ready on the mill just now. So we'll go over there and we can have a look at that part of it. So the log is now loaded up onto the mill. It's come out onto the log deck. You can see on the end of the log there's a load of little fungus and brackets, and so we intentionally leave beech to spalt. So we'll see that later when the boards are cut open, because beech is a pretty dull plain wood. It has its applications for that, but for furniture we really like the effects of the spalting, which is just a fungus that gets into the wood and creates these little dark lines, which are actually walls. It's like a wall barrier that the fungus creates to stop one fungus getting into another one. So it's like a little war zone going on. You know, they're each trying to compete against each other for their wood to digest and eat. So we intentionally don't put these up on bearers. We put the logs into the woods on the ground, and it encourages the spalting to take place a lot quicker. The logs up on the mill just now. We're going to cut these boards just through and through. So that basically means we just take the mill, slab them into 65mm boards all the way down through the log. So we'll probably cut the top off of the log, maybe a couple of boards, then rotate the whole log over, cut the whole thing into 65mm boards. The boards are then taken off the end of the mill to the stacking area, which we can show you just now. So when the boards have come off of the outfeed, we stack them into packs. As the boards are coming off of the outfeed, the guys are adding the boards back into our Airtable system. So we know which log they've come from. Now we're recording the thickness, the width, and the quality of that board as it comes off the outfeed. Once it's been added to the system, it gets added into a pack like this. And the importance of this part is to make sure that the stickers, which are these little wooden spaces, are as accurately in line as you can. We've done it in the past, and beech is really prone to it. It's really prone to like cupping in the center of the board. It's really bad for it. We had a board years ago that we had it like 3 packs. There were 3 packs on top of it, and it was a massive through and through board. And it managed to lift the whole 3 packs of timber above it just with the tension in the wood. So it's really important that you get your stacking accurate as possible and just have as much weight on top of the timber to stop it cupping. So the packs are then recorded on Airtable as a finished pack. That's done. It then gets put down to the very bottom yard to sit. And we leave our timber for at least a year an inch. What I mean by that is each board are like 2.5–2 inches thick. So we leave it a minimum of 2 years until the moisture content has come down to about 20%. And 20% just seems to be the magic number. That if we get it down below 20% before it goes into the kiln, seem to get a much more stable product, a much more stable board. There are kilns out there that you can buy that will put this in and it will kiln dry quickly. We've found in the past, and speaking to a lot of the furniture makers, that the stability in the timber just isn't there. It doesn't stay. You need to give it that rest, that sort of settling time to let the stresses and the tensions come out of the wood. I've actually got Holly, who looks after our hardwood, she's the head of our hardwood department, with us just now. We'll just go over and we can have a look at some of these boards that are on here, and we can chat a little bit more just about some of the features that we can see on the boards, why they're so attractive and furniture. So here with Ollie just now, so this has all been fresh cut. We're just going to very quickly chat through the Hawkeyes among you will notice there's a few different species in here as well. So 90% of this is beech that we've cut today. There was a few extra bits of elm and there was some maple as well. Sycamore over there as well. So how come that went in there, Ollie? That was a thing.
Well, so like you mentioned about stability of the packs which you're making. Cool's wood great, but the thing is, you're putting the log back together in the same form that was growing in. And so if there's a twist in the tree as it grew, then as it dries, the whole ball is going to twist. It's not going to fight against. So making a square pack like this, we try and put boards, top and tail, other way up. And so if you're going to move, they're fighting against one another. Yeah, basically. So I just had some bits. We had these 2 boards which were left over to just make up the square pack. We used
to do it a while ago. We had a system where we would just cut it into the bowls, so we would restack it back together in a bowl, which is basically a fancy ass word for the log cut into boards. So, and the reason we went back to doing it like this is because now this fits perfectly in the kiln. You know, it's exactly the right dimension, so we would have to restack it again, which is adding waste into the system, costing us more time, basically making the product more expensive. So the more efficient we can make this, the cheaper we can end up with an end product. So that's why we've gone back to sort of putting them into square, rectangular patterns like this as well. So, Molly, do you want to have a look at some of the bits and pieces that are going on in this beech board here and just chat through a few things on it?
I mean, this log was a really nice log. It was big, fairly straight, and we opened it up, so amazing patterns in it. So you got the plastic bolting that comes through in the beech, part of the white wood. Whereas it's easily susceptible to the fungal infection.
Yep.
And that's why beech is loved, because this fungus will penetrate the wood about a foot per year. And we let the log stick for a little bit to get some of it in, so then you run the risk of it going really soft if you let it stick too long. And
I don't know if you can see that on the video, right on the outside, the extremities of the log, it's just gone too far. The spalting's got in and it's just completely ruined the log. We have had quite a lot of furniture makers and especially wood turners that have bought spalted beech from us in the past, and then like vacuum sealed it with resin. So there's a guy, Adrian Kamak, who does a lot of stuff down at the shop for us, and he's kind of perfected this technique for himself. But Basically, you just put it in a small little vacuum tank, pump it full of resin, and it stabilizes the wood. Then you can work it. It's quite a process, and to be honest, most people won't quite go to that amount of effort. So we've only really lost an inch, maybe 2 inches on the outside edge of that. So I think we've just about caught this log in time. It's a total guess. It's like we're kind of roughly working out how long these logs have been sitting in the woods to get this faulting effect. However, it is a total guess. It could be an absolute pile of shite when you open it up and it's just totally moldy inside, or we've caught it just in time like this log. It's just hit and miss.